Golden Sun, one of my favorite Nintendo franchises, contains many references to various things. Few enemies don't allude to something, and the Djinn sometimes have names that don't make sense at first, and occasionally ever. Djinn is a variant of Jinn, or its ultra-westernized form, Genie. Yes, the Arabian story Aladdin is actually a story including a Djinn, not a genie. Like most instances of DJ, it is pronounced with a very soft or silent D. The word Djinn actually is plural, and Genie is singular. Both variants of Djinn are mostly respellings of how these forms are pronounced. Djinn come in 4 flavors: Venus, Mars, Mercury, and Jupiter. The correlation to elements mostly falls into Chinese astrology or cultural connections. Mars in astrology is often linked to strength and warfare, and is a red planet also linked to the color red and the idea of spilt blood. Mars-affiliated people are considered to be very confident, aggressive, impulsive, and passionate. In Chinese astrology, Mars is affiliated with fire and many similar traits such as passion. This is very analogous to the personalities of many of the fire adepts, such as Garrett and Tyrell, and to an extent the refreshingly frank mouth on Jenna is also fitting. Iolio also fits being a warrior-type personality and averse to sugarcoating and being politically correct. Even the Prox adepts fit, especially Agatio and Karst, on their revenge mission. Their synergy is mostly offensive-based, reflecting the focus of Mars on war. Their non-offensive powers tend to be the weakest when considering cost to gain. Forge refers to the action of forging, a process where heat is used to strengthen or create a metallic item, and forge increases your power. Fever is a phenomenon where the temperature of an entity increases to an abnormal level, usually to fight a disease. Fevers can lead to chills and hyperpyraxia, or basically hypothermia caused by a fever. Untreated hyperpyrexia, like hypothermia, will lead to confusion and dizziness, sometimes brain damage, and eventually death. Fever is capable of making enemies delusional, much like a bad fever can confuse, essentially making it nearly impossible for an enemy to effectively attack, just like its biography states. While corona usually refers to the blinding ring surrounding the sun during an eclipse, corona refers to any ring of light around something. For example, the rainbow or iris moon when the moon is encircled by a rainbow. Corona's biography states its radiance blunts enemies' attacks, presumably by blinding them. Scorch does additional damage and can stun an enemy. To scorch means to burn, usually in a way that leaves a mark. Perhaps scorch can blister enemies and cause them to wince in pain. Embers are tiny specks of burning material. Ember raises PP very slightly, perhaps by firing your party up. Flash can dramatically reduce damage by unleashing a blinding flash of light. Torch as a verb refers to intentionally burning something in an attempt to consume and destroy. As a Genie, Torch unleashes a powerful fire attack capable of piercing defense. Cannons are firearms that fire devastating shots with explosive power. Cannon does very powerful attacks. A spark can ignite a fire as well as refer to something that inspires or stimulates. Spark also refers to the sign of returning vitality in a nearly dead subject, so it makes sense why Spark would bring back a dead party member. To kindle is to stir up or stimulate a fire. Kindle stirs up your fighting spirit. Much like Scorch, Char refers to a burn that leaves a black mark, and just like Scorch, Char can stun your enemy in much the same way. Coal is a power source burned to produce energy, most notably to power a train or in power plants. Coal energizes your party, much like it energizes a train in your home. Reflux literally means to flow back or return something, matching well with its ability to counterattack. For example, sufferers of acid reflux regurgitate things from their stomach, including stomach acid. Its instant, almost reflexive counter may allude to the similar sounding reflex. Core is full of the burning power of the core of a living planet. It may break through defenses because it can reach the core of enemies. Tinder is Firestarter, and in a sense Tinder revives and restarts a dead character by reviving a dying fire. Shining refers to a bright brilliance. Its effects don't really fit unless you take the rare usage of shine to refer to empty flirting and leading someone on, which would confuse enemies if the Djinn was making them all hot and then sucker punched them and went berserk. Fury refers to rage or determination. The Djinn, however, calls angry spirits to lend you their power, and then these spirits can hang around and torment your enemies for eternity. Wow, these Djinn escalated quickly. Fugue is part of a musical composition, apparently so catchy the enemies waste synergy hearing it. Cinder is very much a synonym for Ember and has essentially the same ability, only better. Lava is hot, molten rock. Lava attacks with so much heat, it can melt away armor and reduce an enemy's defense. Branding is the process of burning a mark into something, often to declare possession. Either Brand sears or ruins the block's magic, or perhaps Brand gains ownership by stealing an enemy's soul and taking its ability to use magic like some cultures believe. Glares are reflections of light that obstruct visibility. Apparently glare is so bright it can harm enemies though. Wrath is a rage fueled by a personal hatred or malice. This is why Wrath hits hard or instantly kills. Chili is a very spicy and savory dish, as well as a type of spicy pepper. Neither is really capable of harming someone in most circumstances, but hot enough pepper could disable and stun someone if they weren't prepared. A glow is the emanation of light from a source. In this case, glow can revive the last glow of life before death. Very much a synonym with kindle, Stoke rallies your team and boosts their attack, firing them up. Exactly what was said about chili applies here, except for the dish part. In fact, his bio essentially confirms my intuition about chili. His spice can overwhelm the unprepared. Sizzle is the hissing sound heard from something when something is being burned or fried. Flare is both a signaling tool that creates a bright light, as well as a term to describe an increase or a burst. Flare's light appears to cause a flare-up in the team's synergy. Aurora was the Roman goddess of dawn or the rising sun. The Djinn is based on sunlight and the beneficial power it has on the earth and its residents, but particularly Djinn, who it refreshes and readies for another attack. Those were the Mars Djinn. Next time, Mercury Djinn.